Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I am Emily. Hope your day is so well. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe the channel. It started quietly, not with a headline, not with a camera crew, just a whisper on a gray Oregon morning. While Roloff farms sat calm under low clouds, a message appeared in a private fan forum dedicated to little people, big world. One sentence. No emojis, no drama. Has anyone heard about Matt's other child? Most people ignored it. They always do. Because Matt Roloff had lived his life in public for over 2 decades for children. Divorces, engagements, family tension, farm negotiations. There were no gaps left to fill. No missing chapters. Or so everyone thought. By that afternoon, the post was gone, deleted. But screenshots never forget within hours. Speculation spread across comment sections and group chats. Not accusations, questions, careful ones. The kind fans ask when something doesn't quite add up. A name began to circulate, not a Roloff. Someone in their early 30s, someone who looked familiar. Same eyes, same jawline, same stubborn posture fans had seen 1,000 times before. Still, rumors are cheap. Until one phrase appeared in a follow-up message from an anonymous source, claiming to be close to the situation. DNA test, 99.9% match. That was when the tone changed. Not excitement, not celebration. Silence. Because if that number was even close to true, it meant something unthinkable, a chapter of Matt Roloff's life that cameras never captured, contracts never mentioned, and even long time viewers never imagined. By evening, entertainment blogs started circling the story, but cautiously. No outlets named names, no confirmations, just hints. Words like unverified, alleged, and developing. At Roloff Farms, nothing looked different. The pumpkin fields were still. The house lights were on. No statements, no denials, and that silence more than any rumor made people pay attention. Because when a family that shared everything suddenly shares nothing at all, the question isn't if something happened. It's how long it's been hidden. The alleged child did not come forward with a press release. There was no interview, no tell-all teaser. In fact, the person at the center of the rumor hadn't said anything at all. Fans learned about him the same way secrets usually surface now, through patterns. A private social profile, few photos, a life lived far from cameras. He went by Evan Miller, 33 years old, raised in Northern California, construction project manager, married once, divorced quietly. No public connection to reality television, no Roloff references, no farm photos. At first glance, nothing unusual until people noticed what wasn't there. No childhood photos with a father, no Father's Day posts, no tagged family gatherings on that side. Friends' comments mentioned a single mom who did everything herself, a woman who never talked about the past, a woman who moved suddenly in the early 1990s. Then came the comparison images. Side-by-side screenshots began circulating, not from tabloids, but from fans who had spent years studying the Roloff family's faces. Evan's eyes had the same deep set, the same crease when he smiled, the same way his head tilted when listening. It wasn't proof, but it was uncomfortable. What pushed the story forward wasn't looks, it was timing. According to multiple anonymous messages posted within days of each other, Evan had recently undergone genetic testing for medical reasons, routine, preventative, nothing dramatic. The results allegedly flagged an unexpected paternal match already in the database. A match linked to a public figure, a man born in 1961, Oregon resident, known for dwarfism. Reality television, that was where the 99.9% number came from. No documents were posted. No screenshots of results. Just the same detail repeated by different accounts who did not know each other. And then, quietly, a second rumor followed the first. Matt Roloff had been contacted privately weeks before the whispers went public, which meant if true, this story didn't begin with fans. It began behind closed doors. Those close to the family claimed Matt did not deny the possibility. he asked for time, asked for privacy, asked that nothing be said publicly until everything was confirmed the right way. That request didn't sit well with everyone because secrecy had already cost this family before. Longtime viewers remembered how hard truths tended to surface on TLC only after pressure built. Not when it was comfortable, when it was unavoidable, but this time the cameras weren't there, which raised another question one fans couldn't stop asking. Why now? Why would a secret, allegedly kept for more than 3 decades, suddenly come close to the light? The answer, according to one source, claiming knowledge of the situation, wasn't fame. It was closure. Evan wasn't asking for money, not asking for inheritance, not asking to be on television. He wanted confirmation, a name, a truth, a conversation that had never happened, and that request alone reportedly caused tension. Because acknowledging one hidden child doesn't exist in isolation. It reopens timelines, relationships, old choices. It forces explanations to children who thought they knew the full story. And that was the part no one was ready for, especially the Roloff children who, according to insiders, were only beginning to hear whispers themselves, not from the internet. From people they trusted. The first reaction wasn't anger. It was disbelief. According to multiple people close to the situation, the Roloff children didn't hear the rumor online first. They heard it quietly, separately, in conversations that began with hesitation and ended with long pauses. Not, "This is happening," but "There's something you should know." For years, the family had lived under a microscope thanks to Little People, Big World. Every disagreement, every celebration, every fracture had been documented. There was comfort in that structure. If something mattered, the cameras usually caught it. This time, there were no cameras. That made it feel heavier. Sources say the first group discussion happened without shouting, without tears. Just questions asked carefully, like stepping on thin ice. When, who knows, is this real? And then the hardest one, why didn't we ever hear about this? Matt didn't offer a speech. No dramatic explanation. No rehearsed lines. Those present describe him as unusually quiet, listening more than speaking. When he did respond, it wasn't to confirm or deny but to acknowledge uncertainty. He said he needed time. That answer landed differently on each person in the room. One of the children reportedly asked whether this was about protecting the family or protecting an image built over decades. Another asked if Evan had been a secret or a mistake. That word mistake ended the conversation because no one wanted to define a human life that way. What surprised people most wasn't resistance. It was empathy. At least to family members, according to insiders, expressed immediate concern for the alleged child, not for the disruption, but for what it must feel like to discover your identity so late. To grow up without answers. To watch a father figure on television while being told he was someone else. That realization changed the tone. This wasn't about betrayal. It was about absence, and absence has a way of reshaping old memories. Meanwhile, Amy Roloff was reportedly informed separately. Her reaction, according to those familiar with the conversation, was calm but firm. The past was the past, but honesty mattered now. She wasn't interested in revisiting old wounds. She was interested in clarity for herself, for the children, for the truth, whatever it turned out to be. What no one expected was what came next. Instead of circling wagons, instead of denial, instead of public statements drafted by lawyers, one of the Roloff children allegedly suggested something radical. Meet him, not for cameras, not for the public, just as people. That idea unsettled everyone because meeting Evan would turn rumor into reality. It would force faces onto speculation, emotions onto theories. It would also answer the one question no DNA test could fully resolve. Was this a secret, or simply a story that never had space to be told? By the end of that week, no plans were finalized, but something had shifted. The family wasn't united against the rumor. They were united around the truth. And in the quiet of Roloff Farms, with no producers calling and no microphones recording, The possibility emerged that the next chapter wouldn't be explosive. It would be human. It didn't happen at Roloff Farms. That was intentional. No history in the walls. No memories layered into the land. No sense of ownership. According to sources familiar with the situation, the first meeting took place at a small, quiet coffee shop just outside Portland. The kind of place where nobody looks twice, where conversations blur into background noise. No cameras, no family members, no lawyers at the table, just two men. One who had lived his life publicly through little people, big world, and one who had lived as privately, never knowing why certain questions were never answered. Evan arrived early. He didn't bring documents, didn't bring photos, didn't bring demands. He brought questions. When Matt Roloff walked in, there was no dramatic pause, no recognition moment, just a brief nod. To strangers acknowledging the weight of what might follow, they sat for several minutes. Neither spoke. That silence mattered because it wasn't awkward, it was respectful. Thank you guys.